I've heard the Knicks, the Rockets, the Nets, 3 teams that are interested in having you as their head man. They want your services. What can you tell us about all this?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show, and thanks for all that you guys are doing to entertain people. But you guys are not beating around the bush any, but it's I think they're just rumors, and that's what it is. And this time of year, everything is on hold. So normally you would have some openings, and right now there aren't any openings. So you don't want to speculate on what jobs could open, but that's what you have an agent for, and he'll certainly, at some point look at if there is an opportunity, whether it be a good match or not. I'm still under contract with Minnesota, so I feel like I'm in a position where I could be patient.
Coach, appreciate you being on the show. Let me ask you a direct question, because I don't know if anybody has asked you to just leave it to you, leave it to yourself to explain. Why is it that you believe that you don't have a job, a head job in the NBA as of yet? You're considered one of the elite defensive minds this game has ever seen, as far as I'm concerned. You're universally, not just widely, universally respected throughout NBA circles. Your dedication and your basketball knowledge is impeccable and cannot be questioned. Yet, you lost a job in Chicago. You lost a job in Minnesota. What do you have to say to people about you as a coach on the NBA level? What is it that we should know?
Yeah, I just think it's the nature of the business. I think that, I'm proud of what we accomplished in Chicago, and I'm proud of what we accomplished in Minnesota. In the fact that I had multiple years on my contract, my agent is the one that will field all the questions about the possibilities and things like that. And sometimes when you look at the landscape, there's teams that are at different stages, and so they're looking for certain things, and so sometimes it may not be a good fit. We've had inquiries last year, and we didn't pursue anything, and of course you want to make sure it's a good match. I think that my record, I think, speaks for itself. Obviously my passion is with coaching. But I've enjoyed my time off. I've had an opportunity to do a lot of different things, just to relax and visit with family and friends, and of course visit with different teams and do that sort of thing. So it's been great to be off, but I'm obviously looking to get back into it if the right opportunity does come along.
Coach, different coaches have different styles. I would describe your style as intense. If Coach Thibodeau is the coach of the team you root for, they're going to play hard, they're going to play defense, there will be intensity and energy and effort. The criticism has been that, whether always fair or unfair, the criticism has been that there's so much intensity throughout the course of the regular season that by the time you get to the second round of the playoffs, the team is a bit burnt. How would you respond to that criticism?
Yeah, and I think we all have questions to answer as coaches. And the big thing is oftentimes there's things that are being said where there's no validity to them. They're being painted by people who have never even been around you. And then I would say to all those people, the facts are what the facts are, to look into the facts, to do your research, to look into the numbers, and to also talk to former players, the guys who have played for me. And I think if you did that, you would find what the truth is. There's certain things that I do believe in, but as we all know, our league is always changing. It never stays the same, and it never has, nor will it ever. So you have to keep adapting as time goes on. But I think the same things do win, and from building your team with a fundamental base to what it will take to be successful in the playoffs. The thing that I'm most proud of, in Chicago, we had the best record in the league 2 years in a row. We had Derrick Rose, who was the youngest MVP in the league, and that team had a great chance to win a championship. And unfortunately, Derrick got hurt. But if that team if Derrick didn't get hurt, I thought we would have been champions. And the thing I was most proud of, when he did get hurt, the team fought and continued to win and found a way to get into the playoffs. And then, of course, going to Minnesota, when you go into a franchise like that, where they had not been in the playoffs for 13 straight years, to get to the playoffs, to have 47 wins, to have the second best record in the West in 2 years. I was very proud of them as well. And we had Karl Anthony Towns, who became an All-Star and All-NBA player. We had Jimmy Butler, who was also an All-Star, All-NBA player. Andrew Wiggins had a terrific year. Zach LaVine. So we've got a lot accomplished there. And the fact that I thought we became a dominant home team. If you looked at the record at home and getting to the playoffs, that was a great accomplishment. And I felt we were on our way there. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. So, I think I look at, the things that I've been a part of, and I'm proud of that.
Coach, your resume speaks for itself. There's no question. What I'm interested in is, you said the league is always changing and you have to adapt. What adaptation have you made? Like, what have you changed specifically as the league has changed as a coach?
Well, I think a lot depends on the team that you're going into and what's the makeup of the team, and to understand what that looks like. Are you taking on a younger team that's in a rebuild? Are you taking on an older team that has championship aspirations with maybe some guys that are coming off injuries? Or are you coming in between somewhere? And I think, my experience this past year from going around and visiting a number of different teams and seeing it, and it's been evolving this way for probably the last 3 or 4 years, where there's different ways to manage practice. There's load management. There's sports scientists. There's situations in which your young guys are practicing a little bit more, and your older vets are doing less, and you're separating the two, and then you're bringing them together towards the end of practice to do whatever needs to be done to prepare for that next game. So I think utilizing all the resources that you now have, understanding how to use them, how to manage that, has become critical. So I think player care, player wellness, those things are prioritized. But I think the big thing is, what does it take to be successful in the playoffs? And if we look at that, you start your season with those things in mind and prepare for the entire season.